Welcome to this mock test discussion. Hope all of you have already taken this mock test. Now I will take you through every question and discuss each answer in detail. Wherever applicable, I will also tell you which questions were really easy and which are the ones you definitely should have attempted, which were the slightly tougher questions, etc., so that you can refine your strategy by the time you take the actual examination. Okay, most of these question types are the ones that are likely to appear in the actual exam because these are the frequently asked questions. Okay, question types. So let us start the discussion. First, we have a reading comprehension set. As you know, in these exams, reading comprehension also includes questions based on vocabulary and grammar. That is why the instructions say that some words and phrases are printed in bold. Okay, so there may be questions based on the highlighted words or phrases also. Let's quickly read through this passage. You must have done the reading already, right, during the exam. So we will quickly run through it. Americans have grown less confident that their individual actions can reduce the effects of climate change. They have grown less confident means they do not believe strongly that individual actions can reduce the effects of climate change. In 2019, 66% said they could personally make a difference, a number that has fallen to 52% this year, with the sharpest declines among Republicans and Independents. Okay, so people who support Republicans and Independents have seen the biggest fall in their confidence. Today, a slim majority of Americans, a small majority, okay, it is a majority but a very small majority, think their individual actions can reduce the effects of climate change because it is 52% of the people, according to a poll, okay, according to a survey. But do they know which actions are the most effective? Okay, so a small group of people, rather a slim majority of people, do believe their actions as individuals can reduce the effects of climate change. But do they know which are the actions that can help them? Okay, and it says not quite. They are not very sure which are the actions which are most effective. Some experts say those feelings are not unfounded. Which feelings? Not knowing which actions are the most effective. So those feelings here refers to uncertainty, or we can call it ambiguity. Individual actions can only go so far, said Field. Okay, Field, we don't know who Field is, maybe an expert because it says some experts say. So individual actions can't go very far in fighting or combating climate change. So this feeling of uncertainty is not unfounded. Unfounded means baseless. The most important thing anybody can do is to vote for a climate-friendly government agenda, he said. The poll finds most people believe recycling has a lot or some impact on climate change. So before that, what is the most important thing anyone can do? It is to vote for a climate-friendly government, because more than individuals, it is governments that can make a difference. Okay, and among individual activities, recycling does have a lot of impact. Most people believe that. About 3/4 say not eating meat or dairy would have a little or no effect on climate change. Climate experts say they are wrong on those and other counts. Okay, so while people believe that recycling can make a lot of impact and eating meat and dairy, eating less of meat and dairy or not eating meat and dairy can have very little impact, climate experts believe this is not true. These incorrect assumptions refer to these two assumptions about recycling and meat and dairy. pose a problem for those trying to cut their emissions. Emissions, you know, right? Carbon emissions. Though a single person's carbon footprint is the impact made by one person, or the amount of carbon let out into the atmosphere by one person, may be small. Taken together, these decisions can add up and prevent gigatons of emissions from entering the atmosphere. Okay, so what this person is saying is, or what this professor, we are going to see who it is saying, is that people are interested in taking action, said Anne Bostrom, an environmental policy professor, but if they don't know what is most effective, then they don't know what they're accomplishing. Okay, so the author first says that these incorrect assumptions about what is most effective in fighting climate change can really affect the efforts of people who want to try to cut their emissions. And then this professor says people do want to make a difference, but they don't know what is most effective, and that is a major problem. People have to be aware of what does not work. The poll finds nearly 6 in 10 Americans think recycling will have a lot or some impact on climate change. We saw that earlier. The second most highly rated action behind installing solar panels. So solar panels is what people believe will have the highest impact. This is number 1 in the rankings of people, and recycling is the second. About a third say the same for using an electric stove instead of a gas stove, and 24% say driving slower. Okay, but experts said those actions are unlikely to make much of a difference in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so these activities, especially using an electric stove instead of a gas stove and driving slower, are not going to make much of an impact in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, though people do believe they will make an impact. These are not even really climate solutions, said Jonathan Foley, executive director of this project, a non-profit. These misperceptions can arise. Misperceptions is wrong notions. When people don't research climate solutions closely or attach outsized importance to actions that seem simple, such as getting rid of plastic straws. Okay, so this person, Jonathan Foley, is saying that these kind of actions, small actions, are not really climate change solutions. Many of us may believe they are, right? Probably because we don't do enough research on climate solutions, or we give a lot of importance to simple actions, right? Okay, we feel since these actions are simple, we should do them and it will help a lot, but that is not true. People tend to overestimate the climate benefits of recycling. That is also not to say these measures don't have other benefits. Okay, so the author is clear here. Okay, it is specifically with regard to climate that the author is saying these steps will not help much, but they will have other benefits, like recycling can help the environment by reducing waste, typo here, and switching to an electric stove can improve indoor air quality. However, that doesn't make them climate solutions. Okay, so we need to make a distinction, or the author is making a distinction between climate solutions and environment solutions. These are environment friendly measures indeed, and so they are good to implement. However, they don't have a direct impact on climate change. That is all. What actually works is different. Here actually works regarding climate. Okay, let us be very clear that the focus of the author is on climate solutions. So what actually works as climate solutions, that's what the author is saying. Among the 10 actions Americans were polled on, experts said flying less and cutting out meat and dairy are among the best steps people can take. as climate solutions. Most Americans don't realize that. 51% say flying less would make a little or no difference, and about 3/4 say the same for cutting out meat and dairy. Okay, though flying accounts for a small share of global emissions, a few flights a year can quickly add up to be the largest contributor to one's carbon footprint. Okay, so if you look at the overall emissions, global emissions, flying may have a very small share. However, if you look at an individual's carbon footprint or emissions, then flying could often be the largest contributor. Okay. Meat and dairy are also heavy hitters or have a heavy impact on the climate. Project Drawdown, we read about this project earlier, estimates that if 3/4 of people around the world adopted a plant-rich diet by 2050, they could avoid the release of more than 100 gigatons of emissions. It doesn't mean you can't occasionally enjoy a really nice filet mignon for a celebration. Foley said. Okay, so the impact of meat and dairy on climate has been underestimated. Okay, so this project drawdown estimates that if 3/4 of people around the world globally adopted a plant-rich diet, okay, plant-rich diet, it does not specify a vegetarian diet, it's just that it should be rich, or the majority of the diet should be plant-based and not animal-based. Okay, they could avoid the release of more than 100 gigatons of emissions. But occasional indulgence in meat is okay. Filet mignon is a meat dish, that's all we need to know. Okay, fine. But if you cut down on red meat, it's both a healthy dietary choice and a way to reduce emissions. So it has dual benefits. If both experts and Americans agree on one thing, it is something will help climate change, right? Experts and Americans agree that something will help climate change. More than 60% of Americans say doing so would reduce their climate impact at least to some degree. Okay. Greening one's home is also another way of reducing one's carbon footprint. Greening one's home means making one's home climate friendly or eco-friendly. An electric heat pump is one of a range of improvements around the house that can be made to reduce one's carbon footprint. Okay, so this is one of the green measures that we can practice at home, electric heat pump, that is for places where home heating is required. Foley said there are also a range of improvements we can make around our house to reduce our carbon footprint and potentially rack up other benefits. That includes driving an electric car and using a heat pump, options that 51% and 40% of Americans would say would have a lot or some impact on climate change. Okay, so in these cases, Americans, 51% and 40% of Americans respectively are right, because these many people do believe that driving an electric car and using a heat pump can have impact on climate change, and that is correct. Okay, so that is it. This passage was about climate change and about what we think can at an individual level impact climate change and what the reality is, right? Okay, so let us look at the questions now. What is the main idea of the passage? So main idea questions, you know, are based on the entire passage. It is not something you can pick from any line. Very often students ask us, where do we find the main idea? It is very rarely that a passage expresses or explicitly states the main idea in the first sentence or the last sentence or anywhere in the passage. Okay, normally the main idea is something that you gather in your mind from the entire passage. Let us see main idea of the passage. Americans are becoming more confident in their ability to combat climate change through individual actions. That is wrong. They are becoming less confident, right? There is a discrepancy between public perception and expert opinion regarding the effectiveness of certain climate friendly actions. Yes, that is true, because the passage quotes many experts, right, and their views are contrary to what the public perception is. This should be true. Installing solar panels is the most effective way to reduce one's carbon footprint. Though it is mentioned as a highly effective way, it is not the main idea of the passage. It is not enough for the statement to be true. It has to be central to the passage. Recycling and using an electric stove are the most impactful actions. No, it is not true, and it is not the central idea. The government's climate friendly agenda is the most crucial factor in addressing climate change. It has been mentioned that the one important step we can take is to elect a climate friendly government, but that is also not the central idea. It is just a secondary idea. Hence, 2 is the idea that runs through the passage. Okay. According to the passage, which action is not likely to make a significant difference in reducing greenhouse gas emissions? So what the experts say here in the beginning, right? What people believe and what people do not believe to be true. Sorry, not in the beginning, exactly here. It says those actions are unlikely to make much of a difference. Which are the actions specified here? Using an electric stove instead of a gas stove and driving slower. Okay. Let us see. Not likely to make a significant difference. Using an electric stove instead of a gas stove. Yes, driving slower. Both of these. Okay, we already got the answer. Both 1 and 2. Installing solar panels and cutting out meat and dairy. Later on, the author says they do have an impact. They do make a significant impact. Hence, 5 is the answer. What action do both experts and Americans agree can help fight climate change? This was in the context of installing solar panels, right? Here. Okay, so this was about installing solar panels actually, okay? That is given as a blank here, but there is a question on that too here. Yeah, this is on solar panels. Okay, so once you answer this question, you will get what is that answer. Till then, it will be difficult to get that answer. Okay. So when it comes to such situations, you can just leave that question if you are not sure, and later on when you come to the 10th question, you will realize that this is the answer. Okay, installing solar panels is something that both experts and Americans agree on. Because for all the other options, experts and people have different opinions. According to the passage, which action could potentially lead to the largest contributor to an individual's carbon footprint? It's written there, though if you look at the global emissions, it only contributes very little. If you look at an individual's carbon footprint, which is the action? Flying less is the action that can lead to the largest contribution from an individual. The other options are not relevant because this has been directly mentioned in the passage. If you are not sure, please go and check. Okay, we did discuss this in detail. It's written here, few flights a year can add up to be the largest contributor to one's carbon footprint. Okay. What does the phrase cutting out meat and dairy? It has been repeatedly mentioned in the passage, so no need to go and check. Cutting out meat and dairy mean in the context of the passage, Why? Because it could mean completely eliminating also, but in the context of the passage, what does it mean? The author has specified it is okay to indulge occasionally in a filet mignon, right, in meat. So, removing all forms of farm products from one's diet. Farm products would include plant-based products also, so that's completely wrong. Reducing the consumption of red meat and dairy products. Yes, that should be correct. Completely eliminating all food waste, irrelevant. Implementing a vegetarian diet. This could be confusing for some of you, but the author does not say that we have to be completely vegetarian, because the author allows for occasional indulgences. Avoiding processed foods is out of scope. Hence, 2 is the answer. What is the tone of the author in the passage? Let us first look at all the options. Optimistic. Do you think the author is very hopeful of something good going to happen? No. The author has given various solutions and the author has weighed various solutions and the author has said our understanding of what can reduce climate change is not really correct. But the author does not, in one place the author does say if you reduce meat consumption you can attain this result by a certain year, but the overall tone of the passage is not optimistic. The author is being critical of our understanding of climate change solutions. Hence the answer is critical. Critical means being is criticizing or being analytical and finding out both the positives and the negatives, but here it is basically identifying a discrepancy in our perception. Okay, it's not optimistic, which means full of hope. Indifferent means not bothered, that is also not true. Humorous is funny, definitely not. Condescending is looking down upon or having an attitude of contempt, that is also not relevant. 2 is the answer. Select the word which is most similar in meaning to the word given in bold. Okay, most similar in meaning means synonym, right? Okay, so misperceptions. Misperception is a misunderstanding or a wrong belief, right? Wrong belief. So belief alone is not true. Belief can be a correct belief also, so this is not true. Understandings, no. Again, understanding can be correct or wrong. Perception, misperception and perception are not the same. Mis shows that it is a wrong perception. Realization is something you understand. Fallacy, what is a fallacy? A fallacy is a false belief, a wrong belief. So this is the same as misperceptions. Okay. Again, impact. Impact, you all know what it means, and here we go. We have the answer. Effect. Okay. Influence. Okay, as a verb, maybe you can say influence. So we can go and see where impact is given. If you are not sure, okay, in these questions, now here you go. Has a lot or some impact on climate change. So here impact on climate change is effect more than influence. Okay, you have to go and check the context if you are not sure. Consequence can have some consequence on, in this context does not really fit in. See, you can see that the options are pretty close. That is why you need to understand the contextual usage of the word. Impression, no. Mark, make a mark on, okay, but make a mark on can, it's more like make an impression on, right? Impact here is effect. That is the best word. Now, the opposite antonym of effective. Effective, inefficient. Okay, effective and efficient are not exactly the same, but in these kind of exams, you may have to come up with the word that is closest, that is the closest answer. Okay, so let us see if there is something better. productive, successful, powerful and competent are all positive words, and effective is also a positive word. So the opposite of a positive word, can it be a positive word? Very, very unlikely. That is the easy way to eliminate all these options. Even if inefficient is not the exact opposite, that is the only negative word here. Hence, that is the answer. And of course, something that is not effective may be not efficient also, right? And these are both negative words. Okay. Now you have to fill in the blank with the most grammatically correct version. Let us go and see the context there. Only then can we understand what will fit into the sentence grammatically. If both experts and Americans agree on one thing, and then climate change. One thing, it's that, what do we need? It is that installing solar panels can help fight times more like. Basically what is given there at the end of the sentence is climate change. So this doesn't make sense, and it's for, when you write it is, if you want to shorten it, how do you write it? With an apostrophe. Okay, it is written with an apostrophe, and if you say its means as a possession in the possessive form, then you do not use apostrophe. Okay, the dog wagged its tail, then you write it as its. But it is, so I explained to my students, this is an easy way to remember. It is, so the apostrophe you can imagine as the I in it is. Okay, so this is wrong. It's that installed solar panels can help fight. No, it is not that the solar panels are already installed, right? Installing them can help fight. It is that installing solar panels can help fight. Yes. Okay, installing, that action of installing. Installed solar panels will mean that the panels are already installed, and that can fight. No, we have to install them. So the focus is on the action of installing. Okay, it is which installing solar panels, which does not make sense. It is that, okay, installing solar panels can be helped fight. No, the form is wrong. Can be helped. No, it is not solar panels that need to be helped, right? Solar panels are the subjects that will help fight climate change. Okay, hence 3 is the answer. Now we have a para formation question. In these exams, bank exams, para formation questions are often seen as time consuming. However, once you get the order, it is very easy. Why? Because there are questions on positions. Once you get the order, you will automatically get, in this case, you will get 6 questions, right? So I would say for students who are not very, very slow, after doing the easier questions, right, like let us say grammar and vocabulary, if those are relatively easier for you, then they are the shorter questions. You can quickly find the answer, right? After that, you should try and do para formation unless you are an extremely slow reader. Okay, so let us try to unscramble this. After that, you can automatically get the answer for the position based questions, right? Once you have the order, you automatically know what is in the second position, fourth position, etc. Okay, salinization and pollution of water courses and bodies and degradation of water related ecosystems are rising. Okay, so this is about salinization, means increase in the salt saline content, right? Salt content of water. This is about water pollution. Large lakes and inland seas have shrunk, and half the wetlands of Europe and North America no longer exist. So this is about disappearing water bodies. Groundwater is being pumped intensively, overpumped, and aquifers are becoming increasingly polluted and salinized in some coastal areas. So what do we see in all the sentences? They are talking about problems related to water and water pollution and water bodies, right? That seems to be the theme. Yeah, okay. So aquifers are basically water bodies within rocks or rocks containing water. Runoff from eroding soils is filling reservoirs, reducing hydropower and water supply. Okay, so there also polluted water is filling reservoirs, so there is a problem here too. These are all problems. Okay, in many large rivers, only 5% of former water volumes remain in stream, and some rivers such as the Huang He no longer reach the sea year round. So we have 5 sentences with problems, but can any of them start the para? We don't know because they are all problems, right? So which one should start the para? Let us see. Deeper structural problems have also become apparent in the natural resource base. If you look at the sentence, this also might make you believe that this cannot start the para. However, the topic of this paragraph is deeper problems in the natural resource base, and after that we have a long list of problems. So this is the topic sentence or the sentence that introduces the list of problems. This should be our first sentence. Okay, though also is there. So sometimes they do that to trick us, because this sentence could be the beginning of a para somewhere in between, and that also is a flow from the previous para. We have to understand that. After F, what can we take? There are all these problems. Where do the problems start? Okay, so first we can start at the broader level: salinization, pollution of water bodies, degradation of water related ecosystems, right? After that we can get to the details. Okay, here they are talking of water courses and bodies. So inland lakes shrinking is one point, but before that we can say that large rivers, right? You first talk of rivers, then you have a problem with one more water body, which is lakes and inlands, seas. Okay, because yeah, fine. Then you can talk about we have 2 more sentences only. So first we can talk about runoff from eroding soils filling reservoirs, and then we can say groundwater is being pumped intensively and aquifers are becoming increasingly polluted. It started with salinization and pollution. You end also with the same thing. But honestly, in this question, I would say it is not very easy to find the order, because you have a starting sentence. F we can definitely identify, but after that the order is a little difficult to finalize because it is a long list of problems. However, you can still attempt if there is a question about the first sentence. If you got that first sentence, you could still attempt that one question and get the marks without wasting too much time on the question. Okay, otherwise this can be a little confusing. When it is a long list of problems, it is not very easy to get the order right. Okay, so F, A, E, B, D, C. So which is the last sentence? Last sentence is C. Now it is easy to identify the all the other orders, right? Which will come second? Second is A. Which will come first? F comes first. Which comes fourth? We said F, A, E, B, right? So B comes fourth. Then which comes fifth was D. There you go. Okay, so for para formation, do look at the question and see if it is something you feel you can easily solve. So even if you are not sure of the exact order, typically students say, I get the beginning sentence, I get the conclusion, just 2 sentences in between I'm not sure. So when there are questions based on positions, even if you get, let us say, the first 2 sentences and the last sentence, you will get 3 marks. Okay, so don't skip para formation saying it is very difficult. First see whether it is doable, and if so, how much of it is doable. Okay, now we have various other question types. This one is word interchange. So each question has 4 underlined parts which may or may not be in their correct places. Okay, the underlined parts may be words or phrases. Identify which of the given pairs correctly indicate the pairs of words which should be interchanged to make the sentence correct. And if any of the given sentences is correct as it is and no interchange is required, then you can choose 5, that is no interchange required as the answer. Okay, in some questions you have multiple options like here A, D and C, B, which means multiple words need to be interchanged. That is one of the options here. Okay, let us look at these questions. Yeah. Despite economic uncertainties, international operations are seeking new markets to expand their businesses. We refer to international operations of a business, right? So, international operations cannot seek new markets. The businesses have to seek new markets to expand their operations, right? Understood, right? International businesses are seeking new markets to expand their functioning across various countries. So, what is the interchange required here? Operations and businesses need to be interchanged. International and expand are correct. Okay, so B and D is the required interchange here. Hope you understood. As geopolitical tensions rise, some investors are turning to gold as a safe haven asset. Okay, safe haven is a very secure place. So, as a very secure asset. Is there any need for interchange here? No, all these words are in the right place. So, the answer is that no interchange is required. You may find this safe haven a little confusing, but then you know that everything else is in the right place. So, you can confidently choose 5 as the option. With traction in cryptocurrency technology. Does that make sense? Traction in cryptocurrency technology. Traction is, what do you say, popularity. Okay, you can say something is gaining traction, but you can't say with traction in cryptocurrency technology. And also, cryptocurrency is not really a technology, is it? Cryptocurrency is a form of currency, as you all know. It is digital or online currency. So, there is definitely a problem in multiple words, right? You can identify that. Blockchain is gaining advancements. If you know the expression gaining traction, then what you need to do is see if this word will work here. With advancements in some technology, something is gaining traction as an alternative form of investment. Yes. So, one interchange we got is A and D for sure. Now, what about cryptocurrency technology and blockchain? Let us put blockchain in this position and see what is going to happen. With advancements in blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is the technology behind Bitcoin and all other cryptocurrencies. If you know that, it is easy. Even otherwise, here it says as an alternative form of investment. Blockchain is not an investment. I'm sure all of you know that. So cryptocurrency is gaining traction as an alternative form of investment. So A, D and B, C. Okay. When you see a sentence and you feel there are many things wrong with it, then you know a multiple interchange is in place. Okay. Now here, as trade diversification stall. Stall as a verb, if you say stall, then you need a plural subject here, right? Otherwise it should be stalls. Trade diversification stalls. Stall means come to a standstill. So obviously here we need a plural that we can make out from the form of the verb here. So we know that B is not in its right place, and diversification does not stall normally. Negotiations or discussions, right? These are the things that stall. Okay, let us see. Companies are exploring supply chain negotiation strategies to mitigate risks. Okay, companies, okay, are exploring. That is fine. Supply chain negotiation strategies. Negotiation itself is a sort of strategy. So what is the problem here? As trade negotiations stall, and it is a plural word also, companies are exploring supply chain diversification strategies to mitigate risks. Mitigate is to reduce the intensity of something. So they are trying to diversify their supply chain to reduce the risks. Okay, so the interchange required is B and D, option 4. Okay. Again, let us see. Though diplomatic efforts persist, okay, the concern of cyber warfare remains a pressing threat for governments worldwide. Can a concern be a threat? No. But threat can be a concern. Diplomatic efforts persist for reducing cyber warfare probably. The threat of cyber warfare remains a pressing concern for governments worldwide. Okay? Just common sense is required here. You only need to think, how can concern be a threat? Threat can be a concern but not the other way around. So the interchange required is what? Interchange required is B and D. Okay? Easy questions, right? All these word interchange questions are easy if you try to read the whole sentence first and then use your common sense. Don't look at one word and see, oh, what should I put here? No. Read the whole sentence once or twice, understand the meaning, then if you understand the meaning, you proceed with that question, otherwise you drop it. Okay? Now we have simple fill in the blanks questions, vocabulary questions. Let's see. The documentary shed light on, means it revealed something on, the lives of endangered species and highlighted the urgent need for dash efforts to protect their habitats. So urgent efforts are needed to protect the habitats, the homes of endangered species. So let us see what kind of efforts will fit in here. Individualistic efforts, efforts focused on individuals, no sense. Collective efforts, yes, when it is a huge problem, then it requires collective efforts from various stakeholders, right? Skeptical efforts, skeptical means full of doubt, doubting something. If the efforts themselves are doubtful, then what is the point, right? Doesn't make sense. Pessimistic efforts will never lead to anything. Pessimistic is something without hope. Cautious efforts. Why cautious? If cautious means very, very careful, wary of something. No, there is no place for caution here because there is an urgent need. Okay, so collective efforts is the right answer. Okay, To achieve success in any field, consistent dash and dedication are essential traits. You need something consistently. Let us see. Enthusiasm. Okay, enthusiasm is essential for success in any field, but it is too mild a word. Enthusiasm is essential but not sufficient, right? You need to go beyond it, and here you are talking of dedication, which is a much deeper word. Let us see. Procrastination. Oh no, definitely not. Procrastination means putting things off for later. That will have a very harmful effect and will not lead to success. Arrogance. Arrogance is excessive pride, which will definitely, pride goes before a fall. Indifference, lack of concern, lack of interest, that will also have very harmful effects. Perseverance, yes, perseverance and dedication go together. Moreover, perseverance means holding on and doing something consistently with determination. So perseverance is the right term. Enthusiasm comes close and may be confusing, but this is much more, it collocates well with dedication. Collocate means go well with both consistent and dedication. Okay. Now, the art gallery showcased a diverse collection of paintings, each representing the artist's unique dash and creative style. Okay. Unique conformity would be an oxymoron. It would be a contradictory expression. Conform is to agree with the norms or to follow the existing trends or norms, but here we are talking of a creative artist's unique style, so it cannot conform to the traditional norms, right? The artist's unique rebellion. No, that is too strong a word. This is talking of creativity, so we don't need a violent word like rebellion. Unique expression. Expression and creativity go together. This should be correct. Deformity. Definitely doesn't make sense here, right? Deformity is some distortion or some disability that is out of context. Preservation, to preserve, also doesn't make sense. So expression is the right answer. The professor's lecture provided a comprehensive dash of the historical events that led to the Renaissance period. A comprehensive overview. Okay, that should be fine, right? The lecture gave an overview. It gave an overall idea, and comprehensive means including, covering everything. It gave a holistic picture of the events that led to the Renaissance. Obstacle, comprehensive obstacle. Obstacle, is an impediment or something, a barrier, right? So that does not make sense. Okay, I just used a synonym of obstacle, impediment, some barrier or something that prevents. Intervention, comprehensive intervention. A lecture cannot provide an intervention, doesn't make sense. Comprehensive depiction. Well, you don't say something provided a comprehensive depiction. You can say it depicted, but depict is normally used to refer to an idea. Here we are talking of historical events, so depiction is not really very apt. Inclusion of the historical events, no, we are talking of a lecture. Hence, overview is the right word. Okay. You see, in some questions the words can be close, so you need to put the confusing words there and read the sentence and see which one makes more sense. Okay, spend a little time, don't think it's fill in the blanks, so I have to do it very fast. Spend a little time and you can gain on accuracy. Okay, the detective carefully examined the crime scene, collecting dash evidence that could help solve the mystery. What evidence, valuable or important, right? Inconclusive evidence. Inconclusive means it's not helping in any way, but the detective carefully collected the evidence, so why would it be inconclusive? Frivolous. Frivolous is silly or trivial, of no importance. Again, this does not make sense here. Anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal is based on hearsay, based on what someone tells you. But here, the detective is collecting the evidence, okay, themselves. So, it is not based on what someone else tells them. Substantial evidence, yes. If they are collecting this evidence very seriously and carefully, then it is likely to be substantial and important and valuable. Irrelevant again is contrary to the meaning here. Hence, substantial is the answer. Now we have a set of grammar questions. Okay, these are grammar questions with error, a possible error in one part. There is also a possibility of there being no errors. If there is no error, then you can mark part 5 as the answer. Okay. It is not surprising that photography enthusiasts began looking at 4 alternatives. Looking at something or looking for something, both cannot come together. So what should come here? Looking for alternatives to the surviving photographs produced by various methods. So the error is in part, which part is this? Part 3. Okay, fine. Easy, right? Very easy question. I hope all of you got this right. According to the theory of plate tectonics, something to do with earthquakes probably, right? The upper portion of the Earth's lithosphere, which contains the heavier, okay, this contains has a capital C, which is a typo, okay? Do not consider that here as an error, it's just a typo, which contains the heavier oceanic and the lightest continental crusts. What it means is the upper portion of the Earth's lithosphere, which contains the heavier oceanic crust and the lighter continental crust. Heavier is in the comparative degree. So, lightest, the superlative degree does not make sense. Here we are comparing two things, oceanic crust and continental crust. So both should be in the comparative degree, heavier oceanic and lighter continental crust, not lightest. So the error is in part 3. Okay. Next, the tennis stars fall from grace means disgrace. Okay, the tennis star suffered some disgrace, had left his reputation in tatters. Okay, we are talking of something which happened in the past, so the tense is also okay. There is no error really. Left his reputation in tatters, completely destroyed his reputation. No error in this sentence. Okay. New Zealanders have a history of paving its own way even when it goes against the general flow. Okay, it goes against the general flow. What goes? Its own way. This way goes. So, it refers to way. That is fine. Even when the way goes against the general flow is okay. But here this it refers to what? New Zealanders. New Zealanders are people, it is plural. So what should we use? New Zealanders have a history of paving their own way. Okay. So the error is in part 2. Very easy? Yes, definitely. I hope you all got this one. And here, the heat has triggered an increase in power demand, leading to outages, you know, power outages, power cuts in many states and fears of a coal shortage. The heat has triggered is wrong. What tense are we looking at here? Present perfect tense. Present perfect tense always uses the past participle, have or has with the past participle, or what many of you know as the V3 form. Okay, has triggered an increase is the mistake, so the error is in part 1. Okay, so that is it. That brings us to the end of this discussion. Hope you have understood all the questions and answers well. Keep practicing. All the best. Thank you.